fair or foul. This is an intriguing argument, and one, candidly, we just brought up earlier today as we were kind of fledging out our final segment. Chandler Simpson is, I guess as expected, lighting the world on fire, but to an extent that some of us are still trying really hard to fathom. Chandler Simpson could be someone who flirts with single-season records. He had over 100 stolen bags in a minor league season not too long ago. Are fair or foul today? And we'd love to hear you in the comment section below or on any of our social media channels that are linked below too. Can you be a one-tool player and thrive in 2026? Jacob, I'll skip it over to you first.
Hey everyone, we have an exciting announcement here at Minor League Minute, and it's an absolute home run. We are partnering with JustBats.com. Are you looking for your next bat to send balls flying over the fence this upcoming season? Then look no further. JustBats.com has you covered. There are so many options with top brands like Marucci, Easton, and Old Hickory to custom pieces that make you stand out on the diamond. It doesn't stop there. They have knob stickers, personal bat experts just for you, and if you don't like the bat, a 30-day return policy. My favorite features are custom engravings and wraps that make your favorite bat your dream bat. Check the link in the description below to learn more about Just Bats today.
Yeah, I think it's such a great question. Again, kind of looking at Simpson, especially last season, got over 100, games played with the Rays, but it was, a little murky. It was some days he would start, some days he would pitch run, but this year really hitting the ground running with the bat, with the extra base hits. It's a tough question. I think it's and we're like almost like fair or foul. Would you rather here with these technicalities, throwing one in there. One tool to get to the bigs, I think it is fair, and I am going to stand on the hill that it is fair, kind of looking at Simpson and looking at kind of a track record based on development, and also looking at what teams are looking for in players, especially winning teams. Like we talk about the Dodgers with a lot of these top prospects. We look at, the Royals with Carter Jensen, with the other talent that they have, with their aspirations of a division crown. McGonigal with the Tigers. I think one of the things, it's the battle of you have the jack of all trades, master of none. You have a guy that has a very experienced skill set. Just mention a few names of guys that over the past few years have been touted as jack of all trade guys that haven't exactly broken through the way we expected. Jordan Lawler, one with the D-backs, who had an all-around skill in minor league baseball. Infielder, the Diamondbacks kind of transitioning into outfield, just still hasn't really panned out at the major league level, having that really fallback skill, as I'll like to kind of put it, for a guy to, maybe not get too comfortable necessarily, but like, I have an excellent hit tool. I know what I can bring with the bat. Or I know with Simpson's case, when I get on first base, no one is picking me off. No one has a chance. That kind of skill set that, again, brews confidence, I think, in the player. Dylan Cruz, another example with the Nationals, still waiting to put it together as the number 2 overall pick behind Paul Skeens with the Nationals, where it's, so many skills as this young player. He can swing the bat well, has that power, has that speed, the defense. So waiting to come it together. Talk about Jacob Mizorowski, that fastball. That was kind of his skill that took everyone by storm. He's striking. He's got 102 in the bag, and then he throws that slider. And then he builds on those skills in the major league level. So for me, I'm going to stand on the side that it is fair to get there. And then once you get there, you can allow yourself to build on those skills. I think, another conversation is, bringing guys back, bring guys up and down. Okay, hey, we want to send you down to work on this skill. Well, let it work on it in the majors. Experiment. If your team's in that situation, let them work on it. Let him, if you have that luxury where he can, okay, start here. Let's work on this, through the season. The best practice is in the bigs because that's the highest level. You don't get any higher than the bigs, fellas.
Absolutely. Yeah. On to you, Sedric.
Jacob, I think this is really well said. I think it's going to be fair. I also agree with you as well, Jacob. But I think the thing is there are a finite amount of the niches that can be taken. So if you happen to be a guy with really good speed and that's like your main thing, the main niche, not only do you have to be darn good at that skill, but you also need to be on a team in which that skill is extremely valued. Do you have a team in which, if you have a bunch of power guys, we need somebody who's going to be fast at either the 9 spot or the 8 spot in the lineup or even in the top of the lineup just to get on base, and then that can set things up for some of our power bats that we have? Or is it something where you have that hit tool and that's just exactly what the lineup needs, where we have guys that can hit for contact, but we need some guy that can really, hit for power? There's just different types of things and different types of niches that people can have, but it is very team dependent. It's very similar to like if you're working and looking for a job and you're sitting in a certain market. If your market happens to be saturated with people that are really good at that same skill that you are, that skill might not be able to shine as much as if you might be in a different pool where there's a lot of people that have a variety of skill sets, but they're mostly different from yours and yours is a little bit rarer. It's going to be valued a little bit higher. The same thing, I believe, happens with baseball teams where, you look at the strengths and weaknesses of the team. Ideally, every baseball team wants to have all 5 tool players across the board. I bet if they really could make it up, they'd have all Otanis that can also pitch as well, too, on top of that. But that's just not how it's going to work. But, well, unless you're maybe Oklahoma softball, they probably have that. But even that,
Right.
most teams are not going to have that. But it's just that sort of dynamic where, yes, you can have niches, but you almost have to have the right fit to be able to have that niche be able to shine and be justified to have in that lineup. So I think that's certainly something to consider in one aspect of it. But I think it is fair. At least it gives you a path to be able to make the majors. Having something where, people can sit in an office and be like, okay, what does this person do well? He's got this at an extremely high level. That's one of the highest in the entire organization. That's something that can be valued to put on a 40-man roster when push comes to shove on their decision on who makes the 40-man.
Absolutely. I think it's a great analogy too, right? Like you look at a team like the Brewers, for example, they know how to steal. They've always had speedy guys. They brought another one in Jet Williams in a recent trade coming into this season. That's their style of play, but they always seem to be craving a power bat. If you're a power bat, and in their case, relatively affordable, that is a perfect fit if that's your prominent tool. I'm going to lean the other way here and say it's foul, not by much, but like, let's say the ball went over the foul pole. We had to take it to New York, take a look at it. It was just barely over there. Just a little bit, right? I think it's a very close argument, but to thrive in the big leagues, once you get there, I think you need at least one other skill to complement it. Now, you can have a head honcho skill out of those 5 tools. Chandler Simpson is known for his speed. I would argue his hit tool is really good too, though. You still have to be able to put the ball in the right spot to leg it out. Now, with someone like him, you could put the ball in a lot more spots than most people and be able to leg it out. But whether you're doing like a swinging drag bunt almost, or you're trying to deposit a ball into the outfield, or regardless of where you are in the lineup, there's always those situations where you need to be able to be at least a decent hitter to, let's say, run around third with 1 out, elevate the ball, or hit a ball through the infield with enough power, or drag a ball down and be able to lay down a bunt. So I make the argument because I believe that guys who can't hit don't get a spot in a lineup unless you're a catcher who is really good at framing, can throw guys out. I think of, for example, someone who's struggling with his hit tool, Blake Mitchell, who is just a commander back there behind the plate. If you have only power, now we start to get into that argument a little bit because we've seen guys like Joey Gallo get away with it. That was, and this is no insult to him, that was his tool. That was his only above average tool. Was we know he's going to give us thump in the lineup. We know he's going to challenge opposing pitchers in that capacity. But, speed. I do believe it has its place, but I think the best tool to pair it with is the hit tool. I think of someone like Tony Campana, whose only tool truly was speed. He was on the Cubs and a couple of other teams. That's why he wasn't in the lineup every day, and that's why he wasn't thriving. He was a pinch runner. He made his bread and butter that way. But if you want to play 145, 150 games, you also have to have those other metrics like a decent batting average, like good plate discipline as well, like a little bit of power once in a while. Or you have to be able to field on the other end to justify the fact that you're fast, but you're not exactly an amazing hitter, but we know you can cover a lot of ground out there in center field, for example. So, similar vein to you guys, I think you can have a tool that you are best at and better than anyone at, and it can help when your other tools aren't as good. But And I think you need at least one other one just to complement it. And I guess I'll make the argument that Chandler Simpson has wicked speed, but that hit tool's come a long way. That's why he's kind of hovered around that 300 batting average for now.
Right. And he's not striking out either, which is also a big factor. And it's opening up the door for more guys with his play style to be able to thrive. And I'll say that as a last point. Anytime you have someone who progresses based off of maybe just one tool that really gets them that shine and that notoriety, and then they add those other ones, it opens up the door for anybody else that might have a similar type of play style to try to replicate and can utilize that example to be like, hey, look at what this guy did. He built a pretty strong career this way. Here's a niche I can bring to your team.
Yeah, we've talked about Enrique Bradfield Jr. on this channel before, right? Yes. An interview that you had not too long ago, Jacob. Like, Chandler Simpson can be that example for him. Hey, I might be struggling with hitting right now, but I have this game-wrecking speed that Chandler Simpson used to get himself in the bigs.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, it's and you don't want to get guys into a mindset though in that same vein where it's like, oh, you have this one guy, you need to that narrow-minded. You want to kind of fill out that balance, especially because it's like, oh, everyone now wants to be Connor Griffin. They want to be great at everything. They want to have this ascension where they hit with power, hit with speed, have that speed, have the defense and play multiple positions. But like you said, if there's that defined skill, build on that strength, keep it the strength, and kind of build around as you progress. Not everyone needs to be at 60 grade tools all the way across the board to then graduate to the bigs. I think that's also a little misnomer for some people looking at, okay, who do we call up next? Because every rookie gets called up and bats 300. No, wait a second. Let's see here. Like you said, Sedric, that niche and the skill sets for each of these organizations, these guys that are calling up, they're fitting the culture, whether it's Weatherholt with the Cardinals, McGonigal with the gritty Tigs here, with the hits and the defense all over the field. Like, his versatility fits so well with that team, and that's why they're comfortable making these calls so early.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, right? And you have these guys who have all those resources now. Like, Chandler Simpson's not skipping a heavy lifting day because, oh, I'm the speed guy, right? He actually snuck a ball out of the yard in spring training for his his first professional out of the park home run, which is just absurd, but it's a testament to what he does, right? Everyone at the end of the day is doing, for the most part, their same workouts, so they're becoming that well-rounded individual. You brought it up, right, Jacob, that not everyone has to be Connor Griffin, but when you do get to the big stage, what keeps you around is being multifaceted in some capacity, because there's going to be games where, I'll take a Cubs guy, right? Michael Busch, for example, having a really tough start to the year. He's hitting well below the Mendoza line, but his walk rate is well above league average. So all of a sudden, the OBP at least bolsters up a little bit to the point where you can justify keeping him in there. Or the glove for someone's really good when they're in an 0 for 9 cold snap. I think there's always a place for people who are willing to build on other tools even when they have that main one. But great episode, guys. I felt like that was really strong across the board. We hit a lot of buzzwords and a lot of these big names, but everybody's playing now. They have been for a little bit, but really excited to get our way into the back end of April here.